Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're embarking on a journey that literally starts in the realm of documented black and white television history and then plunges deep into the ice and, well, maybe even into an alternate reality. We're looking at a truly fascinating progression of source material here. On one hand, you have an actual 1954 television interview with the legendary Admiral Richard E. Byrd, talking about totally mundane things like coal deposits and frozen bread. But then, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, we have this wild collection of astonishing intelligence claims, detailing subterranean alien civilizations, hidden cities, and highly advanced secret technologies. So let's dive right into this stark contrast and see exactly how documented exploration collides with some of the most elaborate modern myths ever recorded. Here's a quick roadmap of where we're headed. We'll start with the factual 1954 Chronoscope broadcast. Then, Part 2 covers resources and strategy. Part 3 explores the source's claims of an escape to the ice. Part 4 details the alleged inner city of New Berlin. And finally, Part 5 examines aliens and ancient origins. Part 1, the 1954 Chronoscope broadcast. Let's start with the documented history. During that 1954 television appearance, the highly credible explorer Admiral Byrd painted a really clear picture of the Earth's extremes. He was advising the Atka icebreaker expedition at the time, and he pointed out a massive contrast. The North Pole, he explained, is the center of an ocean, 10,000 feet deep. But the South Pole? That's the exact opposite. It's the center of a plateau, 10,000 feet high, and it's surrounded by this massive frozen ice belt that's at least 1,200 miles thick. Basically, it was guarding an entirely unexplored area the size of the United States, a place that had literally never been seen by human eyes. Part 2, resources and strategy. So why did this massive, freezing wasteland suddenly capture the entire world's attention? Well, Antarctica wasn't just some empty expanse. It was actually becoming a crowded geopolitical chessboard. Drawing straight from Byrd's interview, we can see that 7 different nations were intensely interested in claiming a piece. Byrd specifically called out Russia as being, quote, interested tremendously, right alongside active expeditions or mounting interest from Australia, Argentina, Chile, New Zealand, and Britain. The continent was peaceful at the time, sure, but Byrd was already warning that this intense global competition was absolutely going to change that. So what exactly were all these nations competing for? In short, immense physical wealth buried right there in the ice. Byrd reported finding this massive ridge just 180 miles from the South Pole with enough coal to supply the entire world for years. And since coal is a clear indicator of a formerly tropical climate, he noted there was a high likelihood of oil and maybe even uranium down there. But beyond the minerals, there was this really fascinating strategic humanitarian angle. You see, after perfectly preserved bread was discovered from a previous expedition years earlier at Little America, Byrd seriously proposed using the Antarctic as a massive frozen food vault, a global backup plan in case of atomic war. From a military standpoint, it was even viewed as a strategic fallback position if the U.S. were to ever lose the Panama Canal. All right, so we have coal, we have frozen bread, and we have Cold War strategy. Makes sense, right? But according to the deeper lore presented in our source material, the story definitely doesn't end there. It actually pivots to a much more profound question. What else was hidden in Antarctica? Let's take a look at how this leaps from documented logistical concerns right into some truly astonishing, highly speculative intelligence reports. Part 3, the escape to the ice. This is where the source material takes a major shift, moving from geopolitical history straight into some incredibly elaborate alternative narratives. This timeline maps out the step-by-step claims made in the source regarding a supposed post-World War II retreat by the Third Reich. According to these accounts, right before the Allies arrived, 2 highly advanced spacecraft were literally spirited out of Berlin. The claim is that they were loaded onto submarines, spent 6 long months at sea, and eventually landed in Argentina. From there, the story goes that they were transported into a specific, frozen section of Antarctica known as Queen Maud Land, where they just completely vanished. The source describes all of this as a massive commando action involving no less than 30 submarines. Now here's where it gets even wilder. According to these same intelligence reports cited in the text, Admiral Byrd's highly publicized exploration mission was actually just a cover. The source claims Byrd was secretly recommissioned specifically to go in and retrieve those 2 spacecraft and their advanced technology. He was supposedly given 8 months and a blank check, unlimited funding, for this massive undertaking. However, the narrative claims he didn't even come close. He was totally defeated in just 8 weeks by advanced, possibly even alien technologies possessed by the SS forces hiding out in the ice. Part 4, the inner city of New Berlin, which begs the question, if they retreated into the ice, where exactly did they go? The source answers this by diving deep into the mythological roots of the Thule Society. Early in the Third Reich, the elite allegedly became obsessed with contacting an advanced inner Earth civilization. The source claims they actually made 2 major expeditions to breach this inner Earth. The first one tried to enter a water opening at the North Pole via submarine, but completely failed. The second attempt, however, supposedly succeeded at the South Pole, and they didn't use a submarine. They allegedly used a small, anti-gravity cigar-shaped device, described in the text as a prototype of a giant Andromeda space station. So what did they allegedly find or build down there? Well, the source provides some incredibly specific details of a subterranean city they call New Berlin. This is based on reports from an American who claimed he actually spent 2 months living there. The lore states this underground city houses a staggering population of 2 million people. Interestingly, strict admission procedures allegedly meant no former SS members or concentration camp guards were allowed in. These inner Earth residents supposedly travel the surface world using Icelandic passports. They send their kids to elite institutions like Harvard and Oxford, and, maybe the most unbelievable claim of all, they maintain a secret embassy right on an unmarked floor of a Washington, D.C. high-rise. The source then goes on to present a highly controversial theory about how this secret colony operates today. It suggests that this isn't actually an enemy to the West at all. Instead, it claims that modern American and English secret governments, often referred to as the Illuminati, cooperate seamlessly with this underground society. The text even coins the term Illuminati, suggesting that these seemingly opposed forces are actually, in reality, just 2 sides of the same exact coin, working shoulder to shoulder under the polar ice. Part 5. Aliens and Ancient Origins. In our final section, the source material pushes even further back in time, connecting these modern military expeditions to ancient extraterrestrial interventions. Let's take a look at the sequence of events claimed to be documented in Admiral Byrd's posthumously published diary. According to the text, during his expedition, Byrd didn't just find ice and snow. He was actually allowed by extraterrestrials to enter the inner Earth, visiting a place they called the Golden City. While there, he allegedly received a profound message advocating for global disarmament, which he was instructed to deliver to the United States government. But the source claims Byrd was ordered by his superiors to remain completely silent about this for the rest of his life. It was only after his death that his nephew finally published the diary for the world to see. To try and back up these claims of an ancient, advanced presence, the source actually points to geological theories at the South Pole. It notes that layered under miles of ice, there is evidence of past civilizations, and even suggests there might be proof of a huge dinosaur intelligence. The overarching theory presented here is that before the Earth's magnetic poles physically shifted, this frigid wasteland was radically different. The source suggests it was incredibly lush, possibly even the literal Garden of Eden, right up until a sudden, catastrophic pole shift flash froze the entire region and buried its secrets forever. This brings us to an absolute peak in the source material's narrative. Drawing on the documents Byrd allegedly brought back, along with claims of a 1961 Brazilian Navy subpole expedition, the text concludes that extraterrestrial intelligence is actively operating out of the South Pole right now. It leaves us with this striking quote: "The South Pole is a connecting point with other civilizations, possible extrasolar gardens of paradise." It's a huge statement. It basically ties together all the geopolitical urgency, the geological anomalies, and the extraterrestrial themes into one grand, sweeping theory. All of which leaves us with this final lingering thought. Where exactly does documented history end and modern myth begin? I mean, we started out with Admiral Byrd on national television, discussing coal deposits and the very real Cold War rush for resources. But we can see how those real-world unknowns, a massive, totally unexplored, frozen continent, can serve as the absolute perfect blank canvas for the most elaborate, enduring legends of spacecraft, inner Earth cities, and alien contact. It's really a testament to how human curiosity rushes in to fill the blank spots on the map. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning what lies beneath the surface.